How's it, guys? This is Dayvy FPL and welcome back to the Fantasy Premier League video here on my channel. Now in this video we're going to be talking about the Gameweek 18 free hit. As you know, Gameweek 18 is the first blank game week of the season. We did have that first blank game week 1, but that was a little game week. This is going to be a big blank game week 18. So if you like me, you're definitely going to be using the free hit chip because you basically have no players in your current Gameweek 18 team. So in this video we're going to be talking about how I prepared my initial free hit draft. We're going to be going through the fixtures and how to prepare for your initial draft, and then also looking at what team value I'm dealing with. Finally, I'm going to be going over through some talking points on how I would improve my current draft if you do have the budget for it. So if that's something you're interested in, sit back, relax, and let's get straight into it. So the first talking point we're going to be covering are the fixtures, because the fixtures are the bread and the butter of any wildcard draft, any free hit draft, or even using your free transfers. So we're going to be going through each fixture and kind of deciphering which players you should be going for and which teams you should be focusing on for those free hit drafts. So the first fixture is Sheffield United versus Newcastle, and while Newcastle have been a little bit lackluster in the attacking department recently, I do think that from the defensive point of view, they could get a nice clean sheet in this one. So Sheffield United are one of the worst, if not the worst teams in the Premier League at the moment. They could always bounce back, but what's in front of us is Sheffield United are terrible, and at least Newcastle could get something out of this game. I'm expecting a close game in this one, maybe a 1-0 to Newcastle or a 2-0. But the thing that I am focusing on with Newcastle are their defensive assets. They do have an attacking point of view, but as I said, the attacking side hasn't been that great from Newcastle. And the reason why the defensive point of view is looking quite good is they have some lovely budget options in that defense that you could look at. Jamal Lewis, I know he has been rested recently or rotated or dropped, whatever you want to kind of say, but if he's back in the starting 11, but at 4.3 provides a nice budget option, and all the other defenders are also quite cheap from Newcastle. So if you need that budget, there's a lot of premium sides that are playing in this blank game week 18. United, Man City, Spurs, Arsenal, those players cost a lot of money, so we do need the occasional budget player to fit in our lineup so that we can afford those premiums, and I think Newcastle could be where it's at. The next fixture, Burnley versus United, I think I can only see this game going one way. That's going to be Manchester United with a win. I think it still will be quite a close game, maybe a 1-0 or a 2-0 like the previous fixture, but I think that United should get this game closed out. Now United are playing well recently, and I think they are one of those sides that really needs that confidence boost, that momentum boost to make them really go on a nice run of form, and I think that's exactly what's happening now. Pogba back in the lineup, playing quite well, so he could be quite a catalyst in that. But I think there's only one man that I think is essential from United, and that's going to be Bruno Fernandes. Just been so consistent over this entire FPL season. Now if you want to kind of do a differential free hit, you could look at other United options. You want to go without Bruno Fernandes, maybe look at Martial, Rashford. I've already mentioned Pogba, but I think I would stick with Martial or Rashford for that one. Just check when Cavani's ban is back, because if he still is banned for this fixture, then I think that Martial is a nailed player, and you could also look at him. But Bruno Fernandes is pretty much going to be in everyone's team, so if you want to go for a bit more safety, I would definitely be looking at him for your free hit. The next game is Wolves versus Everton. Now this game is the first of two that are really hard to call. Wolves not playing well recently, Everton not really playing that well recently. The thing about Wolves though is I don't think anyone expected that 3-3 draw with Brighton, which maybe shows that from a defensive point of view they're not actually that good. I thought that Wolves were quite good from a stats point of view, but that game kind of blew my opinion out the water. Everton as well from an attacking point of view, not really getting the goods recently. I know Richarlison was back for their previous game against West Ham, but that still didn't impact them, and they still look quite bad going forward. So Everton, Wolves, really hard game to call. I don't think I'm going to be going for any defenders from either of these two sides, but from an attacking point of view, maybe if you like Calvert-Lewin or Richarlison, or maybe an Adama Traore or one of those players, you could look at Wolves and Everton assets, but I think that this game might be one of those games that I do give it a miss. Then we go on to Man City vs Brighton, which I think is probably the first essential triple up that I will be looking at. You got to go for 3 Man City players. I think this is a really good fixture for Man City. Brighton do love to attack, so at least we know they're not going to be parking the bus, and that kind of always leads to Man City going on a really high scoring game. 4-0s, 5-0s, this could go that way. Watch it be a 1-0 now because I jinxed it, but I would be going for a triple up in Man City. You could go for 2 defenders, 1 attacker, 3 defenders if you even please, but as I said, Brighton are quite an attacking side, so I might cut my losses there, not really go for a triple up in defense, but I definitely think that 1 defender is going to come good for Man City, and that should lead to some good points from an attacking and a defensive point of view. With Brighton, not much to go for there. I wouldn't be looking at many of their options. Sometimes they do have a little bit of rotation as well in the lineup, so it might be hard to predict who's going to start. Then we go on to the second and final game that is looking really hard to call, and that's Aston Villa versus Spurs. Now, Aston Villa did actually play well against United, but the thing I noticed from that game is that they were quite vulnerable to the counter-attack. United have a really good counter-attack with Rashford, Martial, those quick players, and Spurs love a counter-attack as well. That's basically their go-to from an attacking point of view. So that did worry me a little bit and made me more attracted to such as Son and Kane, as I do think they're going to do quite well in this game. But the thing with Aston Villa is they are better defensively than most sides, and that's what's kind of mixing my mind up here, because from one point of view they are looking vulnerable to the counter, but from the second point of view, defensively they are quite strong. So I just don't really know how this game's going to go. I can kind of see it being a draw or a win to either side. So basically what I think we have to do is we have to do an individual prediction for our own teams, and then kind of go on and bring the players on depending on that prediction. Then the final game is going to be Arsenal versus Crystal Palace. Now, before this weekend's fixtures, I probably would have said that this game is going to be a really drab 0-0 or 1-1 or something like that, but Arsenal went and smashed West Bromwich Albion, and like United, I think they're one of those sides that really needs the confidence and the momentum. So I'm expecting a good shift here from Arsenal against Crystal Palace, and that's why I'm favouring some options from Arsenal. Now, I don't know if I'm going to be able to afford Aubameyang, but even if I was, I don't think I'll be looking at him. I think I might be looking at Lacazette from a more premium asset, as I really favour the French striker to the Gabonese midfielder because he is playing centrally. Aubameyang on the wing, I never really like one of my more premium assets playing on the wing, except if it's Salah or Mane, and Aubameyang just seems to not be getting that many chances there. He had a couple of chances against West Bromwich Albion, but not enough for me to pay that more premium price tag over someone like Lacazette. Saka, you could also go for some budget options in defense. They've got Holding, or you go for more premium defenders such as Tierney or Bellerin. There's a lot of options from Arsenal, and they are going to be mega differential because Arsenal were performing terribly before Game Week 17, so not many people are going to be owning them. Crystal Palace, they also have some nice options there. You could also look at Mitchell at a 3.9 price tag. Not too much can go wrong there, but I do think that Crystal Palace will concede in that. So I'm not really looking at many Crystal Palace players, but with this massive amount of fixtures that we actually have in this blank game week, there are some nice differentials that we also are looking at. So before we look at the draft, this is my team value when I do delete every player from my starting lineup and I transfer every player out basically. So 99.8 million, I'm pretty sure that you guys will have more selling value. The thing that you must remember is that I still have players like Fernandes in my initial draft, so those players have risen in price. But when I do sell every player in my lineup, this is the current team value that I do have. So going on to the initial draft for my free hit, this is how it's setting up. We're going to be going through every position and kind of talking about why I chose these players over other alternatives. Starting off in goal, we have Darlow and Forster. So Forster's just in here because he's a nice cheap option, but if Southampton did have a fixture, then Forster could play. But as you know, Southampton unfortunately aren't playing in blank Game Week 18. So Darlow is going to be the main starter, so hopefully he does play. Newcastle point of view, actually been quite a good keeper since the injury to Dubravka, so I think he's going to fit that slot. Does come in a little bit more expensive, but I don't really trust any other budget keeper in my free hit. The rest of the defense, we've got Bailey, Diaz, and Tierney, who are going to be my three starting defenders in a 3-5-2 formation. So Bailey came back for the injured Lindelof. If Lindelof is still out injured, then I will definitely be looking at Bailey, as he does come in quite cheap. You could also look at Luke Shaw, but I am a little bit worried about some injury risk, and also there could be some rotation there with Alex Telles. So Bailey comes in here, but he could become Luke Shaw if Luke Shaw looks nailed to start. Then we have Diaz here, who's my main Man City defender that I would own, as I just think from a rotation point of view, he looks quite nailed. Has started basically every game at that centre-back position for Man City, so really a nailed option as starting 11, and I will be monitoring the situation with the Man City fixtures because they do have some League Cup games coming up before the Game Week 18 deadline. So if he does start on that one, there could be some rotation risk there, but if he doesn't, I definitely think he looks good for Game Week 18's team. Then we have Tierney at 5.3. You could also go for Rob Holding, but Tierney just had a great game week. I know it might be a little bit of a knee jerk there, but from an attacking point of view, he is a little bit more attacking than Rob Holding, while he is more expensive. But I really favour that Arsenal fixture against Crystal Palace, and I think that he gets forward loads, so that's why I'm looking at it. And then finally, Kilman and Mitchell just come in as two budget options. Both should play, however, they might not play as well because there are rotation risks, but at least I have a playing chance on my bench if these two players do have to come on. The midfield is stacked with 5 players. We've gone for budget and more premium assets. The budget options are El Ghazi and Saka. These two options provide great value at their current price tags. I could have gone for Jack Grealish, but I think right now El Ghazi is providing more stats and more chances on goal, and that's why I've gone for him. And the simple fact that I can't really afford the upgrade to Jack Jack Grealish. So that's one of the things, if you guys do have the budget for it, I would upgrade El Ghazi to Jack Grealish because I just think he's a better option and I think he's more of a talisman for that Aston Villa lineup. Then we go on to Saka, who's actually performing really well right now, on for some consistent returns over the past couple game weeks. So he slots into my lineup. Hopefully he does quite well. Then we go on to the 3 premiums. We've got Bruno Fernandes, Kevin De Bruyne, and Sterling. So a similar situation with Diaz, with Sterling and De Bruyne. I will be monitoring those fixtures between the Game Week 17 closure and that Game Week 18 deadline to kind of get a nice prediction on who's going to start for Man City. But I do think that Brighton fixture's more of an attacking fixture than a defensive fixture for Man City, and that's why I've gone for the big double up in that midfield with Sterling and De Bruyne. Then Fernandes, just a safe option here, a good captaincy option if you want to go for him, and I just think he's kind of a set and forget in your teams that you have to have because he's just performing so well right now. Then the forward line, Brewster, basically not going to play in this one, definitely won't play because I will have him probably on 3rd on my bench, but he also is an alternative from Sheffield United. If he does start and you need a player off your bench, then he could come on. But the 2 main strikers are going to be Callum Wilson and then Harry Kane. So I've gone for Harry Kane here instead of Heung-min Son. I could also do that switch, a little bit cheaper Heung-min Son than Harry Kane, but I just think that Harry Kane, with those penalties, we saw how essential he can be if they do win a penalty, as he basically is guaranteed to get 3 bonus points. So I've gone for Harry Kane here, as in that forward department there are some lacking options, and I think there are more options in the midfield from these blank game week teams. So this is basically how the lineup sets. You could also do some upgrades if you want to around it. I'm pretty sure that your drafts are going to look way different to mine, so drop them down below. I'm always interested to see how you guys think versus how I think. But this is basically a wrap up the video, guys. Hopefully you did enjoy it. Please don't forget to like it if you did, and subscribe if you have not subscribed yet. I'll be checking you guys with many videos coming up this week, and also hopefully in a deadline with Dayvy stream before that Game Week 18 deadline. I'm going to be signing off. This has been Dayvy FPL, and I'm out. Cheers, bye.